Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Schmoedown. I'm Star Wars competitor Andrew Dimalanta.
And I'm Nicki Dimalanta.
And we are officially in Season 1. Now that we're going over the first studio match. There was the match in New York, Brooklyn, with the triple threat in the undercard.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week. But now we get to talk about a special somebody that we're very, very good friends with now. He calls us we're friends with him. He says that we're friends, so I'm going to say that we're friends.
Hell yeah.
Ben Goddard, no longer Bagel Boy.
No.
He has been the Bandit Goddard.
The Bandit.
Went up against Robert Griffin III.
What?
RB3. Robert something. I don't know. We'll cut that out or leave it in.
Robert Butler.
Robert Butler.
The third.
Sorry.
Was that a football player?
Yeah.
RG? Like, that's not the right letter.
I had a stroke there. I'm sorry. Yeah, so RB3. And this was a good match.
It was.
This is a very
really
good match.
was.
Like, I was expecting it to be like, somebody's going to blow out somebody.
Rookie. Well, no, RB3 is not a rookie, but like.
His record's 0-2.
Yeah.
But this is a very good match.
It was fantastic.
I mean, because like we didn't know, I kind of knew what to expect out of Goddard because we watch him on his stream practicing. He's like, he knows a lot of stuff.
He does.
And granted, these are old questions and stuff, but like, there's still some hard questions back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I could look back at old things and old matches and
not
have no recollection of them asking any of them. So it's still impressive, unless somebody's just. They know the answers and they're just like, ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Let me impress everybody by making it look like it's the first time I'm rewatching this. But
yeah.
I know that's not what he's doing. He's for real. He's the real deal.
Yeah, but before you even got into the match, you got that awesome cutscene with Grace and
Kate. They're both too good. Grace is just so good at what she does.
Yeah, she's so good at being a heel.
And I love the fact that Kate is part of this now because I love her on SEN. She's just such a good addition. And her almost like goofy mom persona.
Yeah.
Like her goofy Boston mom persona. Like contrasting with Grace's like lioness, super lady heel.
Yeah.
It's a delicious contrast.
I love the scene because it's like, oh yeah, no, nobody likes his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone
hates it.
And she's like, okay, yeah, I'll stop doing it. It's like, no.
I want you to do it fucking all the time.
Yeah, just to piss everybody off, piss all the nerds off.
All the nerds in the Facebook group.
I wish she would dial it back just a tiny bit.
I don't.
I think she dialed it back enough to where it's not like super annoying, but like it still has that funny like.
I don't know. Like at the draft, I was like, "Oh, give me more Kate!" I love it. It was great.
Yeah, I'm glad she's keeping the voice, and like I think she's gotten to a level where it's like, yeah, okay,
hitting a stride.
She's hitting her stride with that, so that was great. And then we're starting to get these previously on the Schmoedown thing that I think Christian was talking about on SEN and backstage. You didn't see that?
What?
They have a segment now. It's now that Eric's the full-time editor, he's putting in previously. So if you missed something or
like if you were watching a new Game of Thrones like last week on Game.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
I like this because the season's so long and you might forget certain story points.
Yeah, true.
And now it's hey, previously on the Schmoedown, it's like, oh yeah, that they said this, or like, oh yeah, this guy tackled them through a table.
Yeah.
Or somebody new's coming into the show. They don't have to watch everything before. They can just like, oh, previously on Schmoedown. It's like, oh, okay, I get it now.
But you absolutely should go back and watch.
Oh yeah. But
it's a nice little reminder, refresher.
Yeah, that's great. So, getting into the match, man. They both had 2 perfect rounds.
Mm-hmm. Round 1 perfect for both of them,
and plus the bonus. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good match.
Yeah.
Second round is kind of where they both kind of faltered because Goddard had Middle Earth, right?
Yeah.
And then he had to go into multiple choice several times.
I don't know about several times.
Yeah, like more. It was more than twice.
I thought whether there's 4 questions.
Yeah.
I thought he got the first 2 right.
He got the first one with multiple choice, but he needed to go to multiple choice just to confirm his answer.
Oh yeah, with that
actor. And then the last 2, he went multiple choice again, and one of them was a possible steal. But I don't think RB3 got it.
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah. So the second round wasn't the strongest for either of them because then RB3 gets fantasy sci-fi.
And it didn't really go fully his way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think he was real close to getting Spike.
Goddard stole some points in the second round.
I think he did. I think he stole 1 question.
Yeah.
I think it was multiple choice.
Yeah.
Because it was that one, I think it was that one that I was like, oh, it's either A or C because both their last names are Baker.
Yeah.
But my guessing strategy was absolute shit because I was wrong and it wasn't one of the two
level
Bakers.
of Stacy or Makuga.
Well, because that's what I feel like. Oh, two of the answers have the same last name. They're obviously trying to trip you up.
Yeah.
I'm the idiot here.
Hey, that's where the cards fall sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
And I saw somebody in the Facebook group. There was like the master post for this match.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, "Man, that was one of the easiest first rounds I've ever seen." It's like, all right, guess what? Join the Patreon. Get yourself an audition.
Yeah.
Get yourself in there.
Put your money where your mouth
If
is.
if you're that good.
And it's not like it's like these two it's not like Merle going against Ben. The first round questions in the Atlanta match are gonna be tougher because it's a title match. This is a rookie going up against somebody that has yet to get their first win. So it's kind of like you gotta not dumb down the questions, but give them a chance.
Yeah, it's a different level than than we're gonna expect to see between Bateman and Merle.
Yeah, you're not gonna see haymakers in a rookie match.
I mean, granted, were there half the questions that even I knew? Sure. But I mean, what do you expect? You expect them to get 5 pointers for every first round question?
It's the first studio match. You want to make it good, and it was a good match.
In RB3, it's been a while since he's competed, and this was Ben's debut. So put your dick away, Jesus.
Yeah, and if you want to comment, have comments like that, look at their second rounds. The questions got harder,
and in the third round, harder still.
Yeah, the third round questions are like, God, RB3
got kind of dicked by his category. Wow, we're really kind of jumping all over the place, going from round to round.
But let's stick to these comments this person made because it's like you see these all the time. It's like, oh, what are you just gonna give them the match? These questions are so fucking easy. It's like, dude. I think somebody has something to say. They want to say about that. We have Christian want to say something about that.
Shut up, stupid.
Excellent point.
Yeah, exactly. So
excellent point.
Playing from home.
Two finger toots over here.
Yeah.
Shut up, stupid.
Yeah, so it's easy to play from home. It's so easy to it's like, oh, that question was so easy,
and
but
it's so easy to not have lights on you, and 10 cameras and a whole crowd of people watching you.
Yeah,
it's so much easier.
The crowds don't get me as much as the lights do. The lights are so distracting.
Oh, yeah,
that's why I say I would much rather play at a live event.
Yeah,
because you can hardly see the audience anyways.
Yes. Okay, so I've never competed in the Schmoedown, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
like how when I used to perform.
Go ahead and give a backstory. Like you're a vocalist.
I mean, I've done vocal performances in my day. Mm-hmm. I would much rather perform in front of a large crowd than I would a small intimate crowd because it's just like, ooh, it's kind of weird. It's awkward. It's a lot of pressure and everyone's just staring right at you.
Yeah.
But when you're in front of a big crowd, like you said, you're standing on stage, got a big crowd.
The lights actually help you.
It's easier to distance yourself and put up a little bit of a barrier and kind of just zone out and get inside your own head. Well, no, because that would sound like you're
get out of your own head.
Yeah, I don't know, just kind of disengage from the nerves.
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying. I feel like you'd be really nervous walking on stage of a live event, but once you get that first question out of the way, it's like, okay, I can breathe now. But when you're in a studio match, it's got to be like that almost the whole, to an extent, almost the whole time because everyone's like 2 feet away from you, staring at you, like, you know the answer to that question,
it's a smaller, it's a smaller, intimate space. Like, you can only fit maybe tops 50 people in that room.
Yeah.
You can crowd 100 in there, but then it's like people are shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, God, no. I don't.
Yeah. But like that's why we said the studio matches are such a unique experience because I've always wanted that experience because being a fan, I want to be at the studio, spin the wheel, and be on the actual Collider set. I'm like, oh man,
this is where Rocco won the belt.
Yeah, it's like, God, oh man,
right here,
awesome.
I'm touching the
Actually, no, I
desk.
think it's a different studio.
Oh well, at least we can. A girl can dream. I touch this desk. I'm never gonna wash my hands again.
It's like I want that experience because it's special. It's a special set. There's so many memories that I've watched. Jedi Council, Collider, Movie Talk, all the Schmoedown matches.
Everyone yelling at Brett that one time that he was like sent in there.
That was
so like, many memories.
It's great to have that, but like I would much rather be in front of a huge crowd.
Yeah,
and like just
agree.
that energy it's different. It's so different.
I can definitely get what you mean by that.
And also you have the announcers staring at you like, hey, idiot, you got 5 seconds left.
Yeah, like right in front of you.
Yeah, it's like
5, 4,
oh god,
3.
oh god, oh god, oh god. So it's like, yeah, if you're gonna comment like that on the Facebook group, just like take a look at the match. It's it's not 2 Goliaths going against each other. It's basically 2 rookies.
It was a debut match for one, and a comeback for the other.
Yeah,
chill.
And it's the first match of the year. You want it to be interesting. You want it to be high scoring. So it's because it already has like all this stuff behind it, like this SEN Civil War. Can we talk about that? Like that's such a great. I think that's why a lot of people watch this match. The last time we looked at it, the views was like how many, like 14,000 or something like that.
When we looked at it this morning, it was at 14,000, probably a little over.
And 14, a lot of that was just SEN people coming in like, RB3 and the Bagel Boy are going up against each other.
And not Bagel Boy. No, and it's also it's brilliant because I'm sure there are people that watch Schmoedown but maybe don't listen to SEN.
Yeah.
And there's probably people maybe that listen to SEN but don't watch the Schmoedown.
Yeah,
and you're hopefully gonna cross your beams there.
Yeah.
And get people into the other one that they're not currently into. Yeah. So that's pretty fun to think about.
Yeah, and the hype leading up to this on SEN was like, it was great because they're both
shit
there.
Talking.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, because Winston's great at shit talk.
Oh yeah.
He's he's awesome.
Yeah. And then we talk about like the differences now, like in between rounds now. We have all the managers.
Yes.
It's so cool.
Yes. Because while we were watching it, I commented to Andrew, like, because it was like round 1. Okay, round 1's over. And then, they would show you the angle of the competitors and you see Kate and Grace up there with Ben and you see Winston up there with RB3. End of round 2, same shit. And we just looked at each other and we commented like, oh my God, this actually kind of feels like a boxing match or something of that. Do they do that in UFC? It's been a while since I've watched a fight.
They do.
But it's like it feels like a fucking sport because round 1's over, ding ding, the bell goes, you're back in your corner and you got fucking Mickey, putting cold meat on your eye because you got punched.
Cut me, Mick.
That's what they do, right?
Yeah.
It's like that, you're over, you go to your corner and your managers, they're cutting your eye. Shit. So it feels so cool.
Like it feels like a legit sport now.
Yeah.
Because now like you have like your managers, like if you're flustered, it's like, calm down, man. It's just one question.
Mm-hmm.
You get your head back in the game. Or if the other person's flustered, like you got him where you want him.
You got him where you want him, rock.
Yeah. Just go for the haymakers. If you want, dial up the shit talk. You're in his head.
Yeah.
It brings in a whole other level of strategy now that everybody has a manager, and now you get to talk to your manager in between rounds. It's so fucking cool.
Question for you.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the fact that if you're in the den, and no shade to the den, you're all very
they
cool
basically
people.
have 2 managers.
Exactly. I mean, is that really? I mean,
I think it's
because I know Grace is like officially. I don't know. I forget what
she's
they
like
an advisor.
She's an advisor.
But it's like, well, do other factions get to name an advisor then?
Yeah, that's one thing that I actually, that's a great point because I did want to talk about this. The fact that you're kind of at a disadvantage where you're going to get the den because you have 2 managers in your ear. I really wish that they would say, all right, the den you either have like if Dagnino can't manage me in my match because you just can't make it, then you de facto to another faction mate to be that manager of the day.
Yep.
The same thing should be for the den. So if you have Grace and Kate there the same day,
one of them's got to take the
only
reins.
one of them. Only one of them can go out with you. They can come out with you before your match, but when in between rounds doing challenges and talking to you about wheel slices, only one of them. I think they really need to do that because it's an unfair advantage. You have 2 because what happens if Kate has something to say that Grace completely missed? Like, oh yeah, that's a great point.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
And they can double up on you and it's like, oh yeah, do that.
Uh-huh.
It's like, so it's either get one of them to manage you, or if somebody else goes up against you, you can have another faction mate come up with you. So then it's even.
Like deputize somebody.
Even the score, the odds.
Yeah, because I don't want to. I can hear people already. I feel like somebody out there would be like, but Kate's a rookie manager, so it's not really. Well, Winston's a rookie manager too.
Yeah.
How come he didn't get to have somebody up there with him that knows?
Exactly. Kaiser was a rookie manager last year.
Exactly.
So and see what he did.
It's just kind of. I just kind of thought it was.
It is a little like unfair, I think, and I would love to talk to Christian about that, or at least message him. It's like, hey, what's your thoughts on this? Because it looks a little unfair.
Yeah.
That Goddard had 2 people talking to his ear, and RB3 only had Winston.
Yeah.
So that is a great.
Because there's no other faction that has like an advisor, right?
Ken is the deputy
But that's not official because I thought I remember Christian saying one time, Ken's not a manager.
Yeah.
This person is not a manager.
I think it's a fact that whole thing, if, because Sam isn't going to be as involved as he would like to be. So whenever he's not there, Ken's automatic.
Probably his go-to guy.
Yeah, the go-to. So it's not like, oh, who are we going to have as our manager?
But I mean, every faction's got that. I mean, if Dagnino can't be there, your first choices are going to be the horseman, the other horseman.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you can choose between. I think the situation with Sam and Ken is Ken's the automatic. It's like you don't have to worry about it. I can't be there. Ken's there for you automatically.
I guess.
So I think that's what that deputy thing is.
But it's not like official. He's not at the same whatever official capacity as Grace.
Grace or Jay. Jay's an advisor to Winston.
Oh, good point. That's that's who I was thinking of.
So
had Jay been there, that means that Winston and Jay could have gone up.
Even then, I would argue they're not official managers, so they need to step back and let Kate and Winston do their thing.
Or if you let them up there, then all the other factions need to have a second in command too.
Exactly. That's a great point that you brought up. So I think that's something that needs to come up on backstage and SEN. Maybe I'll write that in the chat. Like, hey, I noticed this. We talked about this on our show. This needs to be addressed because
guess what, baby? This year is different.
This year's different. It's an actual sport now. So it's like if everybody doesn't get an advisor, then not everybody. Then the den shouldn't be the exception.
Yeah, I mean, if Kate wants to have Grace as an advisor, cool. Because I'm sure plenty of the managers have somebody that they talk to as an unofficial advisor.
And you can have them off camera like before they go up.
Exactly.
There's nothing against that.
But during the match.
Yeah,
you should probably have one
during the
person.
Match, during the match, Grace can be whispering in Kate's ear, but when it comes time to go up to your competitor, the manager's the only one that talks to them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm sure that.
Because that's probably going to happen with anybody. Like, all the faction mates are going to probably be there for somebody's match, and they're like, "Oh no, that's not right." They're talking to each other. It's like, "Oh, good, you should challenge."
But you got one manager that helps you with your challenges.
Yes, exactly.
Goes up and pep talks you. Ices your eye in the corner, helps you with your spins on the wheel.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't know. I thought that was kind of
that's a very good point because it's a sport now. It's a legit sport now. We're getting a rule book. They're like they're getting the rule book together. They're gonna officially post it to everybody. Everybody will get an official rule book and we have to abide by those. So it's an unfair advantage, I think, to have both Grace and Kate up there at the same exact time.
Two sets of eyes.
Yeah, two sets of eyes.
Two brains thinking
thinking
thoughts.
All right, so back to the match. That was a great point, though. So
thank you. Thought of it
so
myself.
Goddard goes up by what? It's 2 points?
Oh.
Yeah, I think he's up by 2 at the end of the second.
After they both went?
Yeah, after they both went.
Yeah, 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, I think it's 2 points. And then RB3 gets unlucky.
RB3 got unlucky because his 2-pointer was romance.
Yeah.
And then he got, oh God.
His 3-point.
I don't remember what his 3-pointer was.
Yeah.
I usually take notes like a little nerd, but I didn't actually take notes.
We had a busy week. So we couldn't get to it.
Well, we didn't watch it. When we're recording it, today is Saturday. And like last night we would have watched it when it premiered, but we were like at a friend's house.
Yeah.
Partying and stuff. But we watched it.
We have a life to live.
We do stuff sometimes. I leave the house sometimes. But yeah, I didn't actually take any notes. But I know that RB3's 2 was romance. He got and he missed it.
Yeah.
And then he got his 3. Yeah. I just don't remember what the category was. Wasn't it like Oscars because it was the Lion King?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the 3 original songs that had been nominated for Oscars or whatever.
What movie got nominated for 3 original song for the Oscars that year?
And he got that. And I was very impressed that he was like Lion King.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even really hesitate.
Yeah, that's
like,
the thing,
damn
man.
boy.
Yeah, and then he misses. Then Goddard gets his 2-pointer.
Goddard got his 2-pointer, and I honestly don't remember what his category was. God.
It was Disney.
Oh yeah, because I remember being like, "Oh, Rachel, make her proud."
Yeah.
Do you remember what the question was? I
don't remember.
Fuck. And then
poor homework this week, guys. Sorry.
It bounced back to RB3, and he got horror.
Yeah, that's a tough category.
5-pointer. And another interesting point that got brought up in the Facebook group.
Oh yeah,
when Grace is talking about making people mad, she was right. So somebody in the Facebook group said that they thought Winston should have challenged RB3's 5-pointer because it was like whatever the question was, like blah 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 blah, and I guess the movie was Doctor or Mister, and it was like PHIPES or something like that.
Yeah.
And when Mark read the question, he pronounced it Phoebes or Phoebes.
Yeah.
Oh, PHIBES.
Yeah.
And he pronounced it Phoebes. And somebody was like, well, actually, it's not pronounced that way. They didn't say how it actually, maybe it was Fibes. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they said that it wasn't pronounced the way that Ellis pronounced it.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, it's a cult movie kind of thing. You could really throw off a player if you mispronounce the name and the title.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know how much of a difference it would have made.
To that point is there's so many more context clues in the question because they put the year. I think they put the actor in there or something like that. Whatever the question.
Man, we are wildly unprepared.
Yeah, sorry guys, but like it's there's plenty more context clues in the question. Like you can break it down. Like okay, the year that this was released, this other thing was here. Oh, so it's this movie. He pronounced it wrong, but it's actually pronounced this. So there's plenty of like the way the words questions are worded. There are plenty of context clues for you to narrow it down and find that. So I get that complaint, but you know,
I don't think it really would have made much of a difference. I don't
think so.
I don't think he would have. It didn't seem that he would have known it either way. Because you know how sometimes somebody gets a question, they're like, oh my god, it's right on the tip of my brain, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to.
Yeah, he
be reacting that way.
He like shook his head, like I don't know.
So I mean.
And that's a 70s horror. Like it was like 1971, and it's like, oh, I don't think that's, and I don't think horror is one of his strengths either.
Yeah, and also, did Winston can't challenge it if he wasn't aware of that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just it's circumstances.
It was just kind of if Mark, I don't fucking know how you pronounce the name of that.
I don't know either.
You know, but if Mark did pronounce it wrong,
oops.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
if Winston didn't know what to challenge it. Then
I just
just bad luck.
I don't think it would have made any difference.
I don't think it would have.
And who did it say that Goddard would have missed his 3 and his 5?
Exactly.
So it's just circumstances and just
I mean, maybe had he challenged it, they could have thrown the question away, and maybe he would have gotten a new one that he knew.
But then again, Goddard has his 3 and his 5.
Yeah, and at that point, he probably could have won with just his 3, probably.
Yeah.
So he would have had 2 chances to still win. So I mean. I don't know. It wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah, I get the complaint, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, pronunciation is just one of those things that it rears its head sometimes, but it really doesn't make a difference because like there's times where Star Wars questions got asked and somebody said Battle Tanib and it's pronounced in the movie Tanab.
Read a book.
And I was like, okay, that's not how you pronounce it, but I still got it. It took a second, like, wait, what? Oh, Tanab, not Tanib.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, Han or Han.
Boba or Baba.
No, that's not a thing. Boba and Baba is not a thing. It's not a thing.
I mean,
Mark Ellis is the only one that says Baba.
It's pretty funny though.
Yeah. So that's the first studio match. It was a really good match.
Something else that I was like, what is happening here? Is when they were since we're doing everything out of order here anyway, we're just jumping all over the damn place.
That's the name of the show.
We'll go back to the very beginning when everyone was being announced. We noticed that it's like, excuse me, why aren't people coming out of a curtain right now?
Yeah, that's a little off-putting.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh man, I don't. But then Andrew brought up a good point that
setup time.
It's setup time because now after the match, you don't have to, take the backdrop and like snake it through the curtains.
Yeah,
and
it just
put
saves
it out
so much time. I get why they do it, but it is gonna be weird to because the curtain is a big piece of the Schmoedown. You get to like rip it open.
Think about Guy's Dan Murrell entrance. That would not have had the same.
Oh yeah, the
same effect. Yeah,
and Paul Preston's club entrance, not the same without the curtain.
Is necessary.
Yeah, so it's.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get if it's
so
for like
time
setup time where when you got to move your backdrop into its spot.
Yeah, you save it. It's like you save like a minute at most.
I guess.
But still, like that time, there's sometimes where you go over on shoot times because we're still fucking around with the repeater in the backdrop. But and that's another thing that I think they mentioned on SEN. That we need to really the way that Grace and Kate did it, where they walked out in front of the camera and the camera's like, oh shit, I can't see Goddard. The way that Winston did it was perfect. He walked out to the side and gestured like, here's RB3, and he came out. I think that's how everybody should do it.
Yeah.
Because they'd had problems with people with managers blocking competitors and other faction mates blocking the actual competitor. So I think if you do it that way, it's good, and I think that's why they actually moved the curtain. So I think it helps.
I'm
out
not sure how
everything.
much I agree with that, but
Yeah, I mean, because
maybe
a lot of times you can see, like, if you watch highlights, Dagnino like fully takes the spotlight, and when it's supposed to be on his
wouldn't he?
competitors,
of course.
and it's because he's basically in the middle of the shots, like, and it's like, Dagnino, fucking move. We need to see Ben, or we need to see Riley.
How else is he gonna do a karate kick at the camera?
Yeah. So we have any other talking points about this match other than great studio opener. I think you hook a lot of SEN people with it.
Yeah.
And you cross promote both shows that way. I think it was a great way to start off.
So I'm under the correct understanding that now that we know the outcome of
This
match, RB3 and Ben, so RB3 will now go against the loser of
Sheridan
Somerville. I almost said Bonneville.
That's a bike.
Oh yeah.
Triumph Bonneville.
And then
I used to work at a motorcycle company. So that's why I know that.
I think we know who Ben faces next.
Yeah.
But is it announced?
I'm not sure if that's true or not, because obviously we get spoilers because of
No, don't even say. Don't even go any further. We don't know what's gonna fucking happen. Let's just move right along. Let's not spoil anything.
Yeah, no, but so now I think the winner of Brett versus Bonnie goes up against Goddard, and the losers go up against each other.
I guess that would make sense.
So,
yeah.
And if it goes the way we think it should go, with
everyone is thinking Bonnie's gonna win.
And it's right. She took Janine really far.
She did.
So she knows her stuff, and who the fuck knows what Sheridan knows? It's just gonna be him. Like,
it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be fucking hilarious.
He's hilarious.
I love Brett, but I think this that bodes well for RB3 if that's the case. Just get his first win. He's such a great, because it's not like he doesn't know his stuff. It's just he got bad luck in his first couple matches.
Yeah, he really.
He said he brought up a great point. His first two losses, like me, 1 point losses, very close losses.
Stings even harder.
It stings even harder.
Was that fucking close.
Yeah, and then you go up against who Ben I think is a rising star.
Absolutely,
he absolutely knows his shit. And you go up against Goddard, and it's like, oh fuck, I got a third loss on my thing. So to give him somebody like Sheridan just to bolster his record of a bit, just get him back in there, because it's I think he.
But we don't know. Brett might come out, and
I mean,
you don't know.
But,
he might.
But yeah, I mean, I think RB3 Sheridan would be a good confidence booster for RB3, because he's probably just kicking himself like, fuck, I let it go slip away from me again. Just give him a confidence booster, get him back in there, because plenty of people have come back from 0-2 starts, 3-0 starts,
definitely,
or 0-3 starts. So yeah, I think that'd be good for RB3 to go up against Sheridan.
So of course Winston and RB3 came out with like a bagel or whatever.
Yeah.
So do we want to like bet each other? I'll bet you like a shot. Well, if whether or not Brett will come out with a cast iron skillet.
I mean, I think his name's gonna be the Sniper.
Oh yeah, you're probably right.
So yeah,
I'm
looking forward to those matches.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, and I know that Christian said that Ben's gimmick was going to be like stealing other people's
bits.
stuff. I can't wait to see if that becomes a thing.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, they're still. I think they're filming matches as we speak. So
jealous.
Yeah. Should we live in LA? Oh god.
I wish I lived in LA, but then I'm like, no, I fucking don't.
No, we would not have this house. So that's the case.
We wouldn't have this house. I'd be paying $10 for gas, and oh my god, like Goddard, he tweeted out his movie ticket for Birds of Prey. It was like $21.95.
God,
the fuck is that? Like, I'm not paying $21 to go see some movie that might be a piece of shit.
It's been getting good reviews, but whatever.
I mean, it has been getting. Do you know how many LA people probably paid $21.95 to go see Doolittle?
Oh yeah,
that's highway robbery.
Yeah, 5 people maybe, because Doolittle didn't do great.
5 people too much.
Doodle didn't do great. But yeah, so I think it was a good match. We're looking forward to the other ones, but we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break here, and when we come back, we are gonna have 2 special guests on the show. We're gonna have
William the Beast
Bibbiani,
and Brendan the Kid Meyer.
Yeah, we're gonna have Shazam on the same time. We'll see how that works out with the logistics. But so when we get back, we will have both of them at the desk, and we'll see
Ooh,
you.
y'all lucky you get to hear the outro music twice in this one.
We'll see you in a second, guys. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. And on the phone today are two special guests of ours that we're having come on for the first time together. We're going to see how this works out. But we have Brendan the Kid Meyer and William the Beast Bibbiani, two parts of Shazam. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello.
Everybody.
Hey.
Yeah, so again, we're going to see how this works out because, first time having two people on at once. We're going to try not to talk over each other. So we'll see how that works out. Just to first start off, I think we're all we all know how you both gotten into the Schmoedown and gotten into competition, but really what I want to talk about is how Shazam got together. Because obviously the free-for-all got a lot of eyes on both of you, and I just want to hear the story behind Christian's thought process and bringing you guys together as a team.
Well, I can actually, the history of Shazam goes back before the free-for-all.
Oh, yeah.
But in a way that I don't know if everyone even knows about. I'm actually not 100% sure if Brendan and I have even talked about it, but I remember Brendan's debut match. I was in the studio and I was hanging out with Christian watching the match, and we were both kind of impressed. And it didn't end up going his way, but he's holding his own really, really well. And I remember in the middle of the match talking to Christian, and he was talking about how if the kid wins this match, we should start a faction with him. Okay. And it didn't work out, but the seeds were placed early on for some kind of team up. And then the free-for-all came around, and the kid, kind of proved himself there, even more so than that original match. And I think we just kind of got thrust together in the Schmoedown narrative, and it made perfect sense to put us together, especially since Critically Acclaimed had just lost our big title shot. And for whatever reason, we just never quite went over with the fans. We weren't a beloved team. So it made sense to make a change.
Yeah, and I remember even that first match, Bibbs was very, very supportive. And there wasn't even, I didn't even know there was any talk of a faction, and there wasn't serious talk, but Bibbs was just super supportive before and after the match. And so, it was funny that we then wound up teaming up because I felt a good rapport with Bibbs that day.
Nice. So you said that faction. So was there a point if Critically Acclaimed won the title from the Tribals that you were just going to bring on Brendan as a third person to a faction, and you guys would still be teams, and then you just have this third person along for the ride? Or was it just you're going to be a team, and then Critical Acclaim wasn't going to be a thing? Was there ever a point where that was going to be going to happen?
Well, here's the thing, and Christian's talked about this a lot, where Christian works on a lot of storylines for the show, but the matches are completely unscripted. So anything can happen, and as a result, there are all of these, if you play video games, all these branching storylines that occur based on whether or not this one interaction, this one game goes a certain way. There had been talk for a bit at the beginning of last season because I was doing rather well. It seemed like I just won comeback of the year, and Critically Acclaimed had a title shot coming, where there was another alternate branching reality in which Critically Acclaimed was team champions, and as a result, we had a little bit more clout, and we could maybe push and create our own faction last season, in which case I definitely would have wanted the kid in there. There have been a few conversations about what if this happened, but it just never actually worked out. I do remember once I was trying to convince Christian to let us have a puppet as our manager.
Nice.
And I kind of wish that had gone through, but these things just you have no control over the actual outcome of the matches other than how well you play. So there's an alternate reality where Critically Acclaimed had its own faction. The kid was a part of it. A few other people I had my eye on at the time. And again, our manager would have been kind of like a creepy Uncle Deadly kind of puppet.
What was the name of the faction going to be?
What was that?
Do you have any idea what the name of the faction would just be? Critically Acclaimed, or would you had an actual faction name?
It's actually a faction name that I want to hang on to because no faction name quite like it, and then you never know what's gonna happen here. For all we know, Koi could get a job in Europe next season, and we have to change something around, and it's always good to have you name ideas in your back pocket for if you have to switch.
Okay.
Spoken like a true
I'm
champ.
just still imagining a puppet winning manager of the year. How funny that would be.
You imagine Dagnino like arguing with a puppet,
Holding the slice, like in the backstage interview with Jen.
The camera work would have to be amazing for that to work.
Oh man, maybe one day.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so Brendan, like, what were your thoughts on when Christian first approached you? He was like, "Hey, I want you to team up with Bibbs," and all that happening.
Oh, I mean, I was really excited. I mean, yeah, it was. My first thought was twofold because I didn't want to be the reason why Critically Acclaimed broke up. I mean, I liked watching that team, and I thought that was a team that if they'd stuck around longer, definitely would have had another shot at the team's titles. But obviously, I think Bibbs is one of the best players in the game. So the idea of getting to team up with him, especially early on in my career like that, just seemed like an amazing opportunity. So I was thrilled. And then once it sounded like everything was okay with Bibbs and Whitney and Christian, wanted to do this, I was really excited. Yeah, I was really looking forward to it.
Was there any kind of like intimidation factor that went along with this? Like, you're sitting next to one of these legends of the game, competing against other great teams.
Yeah. I mean, I was never intimidated. I mean, Bibbs never made me feel intimidated or made me feel like I was the lesser partner or anything like that. But I did enough of that on my own. No, I'm just kidding. No, Bibbs never intimidated, made me feel comfortable. But no, certainly those first couple of matches. I mean, I always felt like, especially probably the first three or so, I just was so worried that we were going to lose, and it was just going to be because I wasn't ready or because I made a silly mistake or whatever. And I didn't want to let Bibbs down and I didn't want to let anybody down. So I really wanted to do a good job and never make a silly mistake. And I always felt like I could play really well, but I've had a couple of matches in singles where, I just haven't gotten the right questions or I got a tough second round or something. And so I was afraid that was going to happen in a key moment in teams, but thankfully it never really happened, which was good.
I was nervous too getting started because, when you go, we didn't just start a new team. We had a storyline. Like we were building up
right
to the creation of Shazam. So if we, in our first match, got knocked out or something, boy, would that have been a real letdown for everybody, not just us.
Mm-hmm.
So there was pressure in those first couple of matches. The first one we ended up getting a knockout, feeling pretty good, but then it was right into the team's tournament, and every single team we faced was a top tier team, and it was always a close match. I think there was only maybe only one match we did in the entire tournament where both teams didn't have to answer their 5. It was pretty crazy. Yeah. So there was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So one thing I've been curious about is how you guys came up with a name. I don't know if it was you guys or if it was maybe Christian or something, but how the name Shazam came to fruition and who and why and how.
Brandon, how do you remember this one?
Well, I remember we were batting around a couple of different ideas, and was it Brianne Chandler that came up with the idea? I remember you're the one that suggested it to me, but was it somebody else's idea?
I honestly don't recall. When we have to do name stuff, always a ton of back and forth and a million different ideas. And, the name of your faction or your name of your team can really help define the identity of your team.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you have a new idea for a name, you're also reconsidering how you're going to interact, how you're going to play. So it's
because you have to kind of bring that into the pre-interviews and the post and all that stuff.
Yeah, it actually does sound like something Brianne might have suggested.
I definitely
sounds like I might be able to find it, but I don't recall.
Yeah. I definitely remember you suggested it and said, "Hey, here's a thought," and we both really, really liked it. But my memory is that someone else suggested it, and I think it was her, but I don't know.
Oh, I really liked the idea because I feel like the idea of Shazam as a character is very aspirational, but one of the things that kind of frustrated me about the movie, which I actually really love that movie, but one of the things I did find frustrating about it was at the end when everybody becomes their ideal selves, they're always the physical ideal. And that's something that struck me as a little frustrating because I don't think that that's always necessarily the healthiest viewpoint. I am not the ideal, people's most attractive man of the year physical specimen. But I do think that aspiring to knowledge, that is something that we can maybe promote. So I like the idea of a title that suggests sort of the ultimate aspiration, but then it's me and the kid, and we're just guys. We're just, two people who love movies and study a lot. And that's good. That is in and of itself something to aspire to.
Yeah. And you mentioned before that critically acclaimed really never won the fans over. Did you see that? Because I think I saw this immediate love for Shazam when you guys first debuted, and you just they talk about the time winning the fan. I can't remember the term is the winning the crowd over or something like that, and it's a wrestling term. Did you see that immediate
getting over?
Yeah, getting over.
Like
did you see that immediate response from the fans? Because I certainly did. Because when you first putting you two together, it's all those personalities melt so well, both
just fits
character
so well.
wise and story wise. Everything just sort of fell into place. The story felt right, the team felt right, and the knowledge base felt right. Did you see that immediate win over from anybody?
Well, I don't think it was immediate, but I think it was pretty fast. And I think the reason why it was fast is because Christian did a really good job building up to it. It wasn't just all of a sudden the kid and I are a team. We actually did some groundwork. We saw some interactivity. We saw that we could be fun together on camera. We had already established that we both have a really good knowledge base. So the idea of us teaming up was, I think, potentially, unfortunately, it worked out pretty good, a winning combination. So I think it was how we were introduced. I think it was how it was dramatized. We didn't rush it. We actually let it play out over a couple of months. And I think by the time we finally got to being a team together, we not only had a team, we also had kind of an established rapport. And I think people were just sort of invested in what sort of new flavor this team could bring to the match. Because critically acclaimed, we started off as being a bit heelish, a bit cocky, and we kind of already had that. But we didn't have these super nice guy teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think looking at the fan reaction, I think it was good because I think there were a lot of people who were fans of critically acclaimed, and so I do think that easing people into it and slowly sort of developing me in that way was really helpful. In that people were kind of ready for it, and it didn't feel super abrupt and sudden, and it just felt like a natural progression of the storyline. So I think that helped us out a lot as far as people kind of embracing Shazam quickly, because it didn't just feel like one day Christian was just snap, it's different,
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be clarify something, because although we've obviously moved on, I'm still really proud of everything we did with critically acclaimed. And I think the thing that kept critically acclaimed from going over with the fans wasn't so much, the partnership of me and Whitney. I think it was every single time critically acclaimed got on a streak, something happened.
Yeah, just bad luck.
Bad luck in a tournament, or one time we were on a really hot winning streak, and we actually had a pretty direct line to the team championship. And then what happened was anarchy, and we had to get split up for half a year. So we never had momentum. It just never happened. And that happens sometimes. It's unfortunate. I do think that team could have done really, really well, but I'm actually really excited, not just for the future of me and Brendan, but as you probably heard, Whitney has teamed up with Alonso Duralde, and I think that's a potentially really great team, and I look forward to seeing what they can do together, because I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and something else that I want to break off and talk about now is we can't not talk to Bibbiani and Shazam and not talk about entrances. I mean, this is something that Bibbiani, you strive to impress everybody with your entrances every year, and you're always up for that entrance of the year award at the awards. What goes into the thought process of all right, what can we try next, and is this too crazy, or is this too off the wall to do, and will the fans get it? What are the thought process on your entrances as far as they go?
Well, I mean, I'm always thinking about it. I really, really like the entrance part of the show, as I've said before, because it's an opportunity for the players to be creative. Mm-hmm. It's something we actually have. We can put our own personality on it. They can tell us something is impractical, or for whatever logistical reason it can't be done, but they're usually very accommodating. I like it because it gets the audience hyped up in an unexpected way. It's not just going in yeah, look at how cool I am. It's also an opportunity, and this is something I try to do with almost all my entrances, is to remind people that the movie trivia Schmoedown isn't just about, competition. It is also about movies. So I try to do movie references as much as I can. So a lot of the movie references that I try to put in my entrances, whether it's teams or singles, and to be fair, Brennan has a lot of input on the team's entrances. I want to make sure it's instantly recognizable. I want to make sure we're playing with it in sort of an unexpected way. Sometimes budget is a serious factor. There's a lot of ideas that I've had that didn't come together the way I wanted them to because I didn't have money or couldn't afford good costumes or something like that. There's some ideas I've almost permanently vetoed because I don't think I'll ever have enough money. Space is a factor. Like, you can do things in the studio you can't do live and vice versa.
Yeah.
Although for live shows, Christian really prefers, just crowd play because it's a different environment, and I totally get that. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it. I have this huge file of possible
That's amazing
to do. And I sometimes try to tailor them to our opponents, but usually it's just a matter of what would be funny.
Yeah, and I always enjoy doing the movie references stuff too, because I agree with what Bibb says. It's fun to celebrate movies as well when you're doing the entrances and things like that. That's what I've always enjoyed in ours and other people entrances too. It's really fun when somebody comes out and you kind of instantly realize what they're referencing. It's fun because most people who watch it are big fans of movies, so we'll get those kinds of things.
Yeah, I always wondered if you guys have ever slipped an obscure movie reference into something that maybe goes over a lot of people's heads. Because I know that, Bibbiani, you made, this might not be obscure, but I'm pretty sure at Spectacular, you made a Willy Wonka reference about the suspense. And I feel like a lot of people, somebody in the Facebook group was like, oh, wow, that went over so many people's heads. And I was always wondering, have you ever just injected something really obscure and nobody picks up on it?
Well, I mean, Growl Growl comes from an anime series that nobody ever talks about.
Oh, okay.
So I just kind of stole that from a. What's the name of that show?
It's something curvy.
I can't. We can't remember it over here. It's really bears. So. Yeah, I think it's actually a very strongly LGBTQ series about bears who are infiltrating a high school, and it's very, very odd. I just cannot feel like
bears.
It's a lot of fun, and it's just there are all these people in just little bear ears and bear gloves, and they're bears, and they'll keep saying things like, yes, we must eat all the humans, growl, growl. I didn't know that. Really funny, so I started just including it. So there's obscure stuff here and there. I try not to make the overall entrances mega obscure, although every once in a while I find out that they are without me realizing it. I think some people thought my Monty Python entrance with the sword was from something completely different.
Really?
Yeah, when you run up and stab somebody.
I feel really old.
Huh.
The name of the show is Yurikuma Arashi.
Oh.
So that's where Growl originally comes from.
Wow.
It's just a weird quote from a weird
pretty
anime.
obscure, I would say.
I thoroughly enjoyed your entrances. My favorite of last year was the Love Actually reference. It was just so creative. It was so unique.
It's so simple.
And sometimes the simple things are the best things ever. So
and then there was that great Star Wars bit in there too with the course. It becomes the course and rough thing was great.
Of course. That entrance and a lot of our entrances in both of the tournaments stemmed from we had to do multiple matches a day, and I try not to jinx myself by planning a bunch of entrances ahead. So I just threw everything into whatever the next entrance was, and then, oh no, we won. I have to come up with another one, and I'm running even lower on. So the Love Actually thing was get a $5 boombox at Goodwill and get boards and staples. And I actually wrote, because I wanted to start off with the actual Love Actually quotes, and then I was realizing this is just going on a while. I need to fill that in with something. And so like I came up with the sand bit like that morning. And of course, and I need to give all the credit in the world to my wife and partner, Michelle, who, in addition to helping me come up with a lot of cool ideas and helping me study and all these wonderful things, she's also an extremely talented artist. She's a professional artist. And so whenever I do anything like that, like she was the one who actually made all those boards legible, because I don't know if you've seen my handwriting. It wouldn't work.
Your handwriting is pretty legible. It's better than mine. But I will say that
they're all better than mine. Everyone's handwriting is better than mine.
Yeah, but I will say that keep those entrances coming. I don't know if you've heard. I've been in talk with the now full-time editor, Nerd Chronic. I will be helping out. So
great.
So now
cool.
I think you can say no idea will be too crazy. So
Wow.
yeah, so
okay. Well, that is actually. We will be in touch.
You have my contact now.
Because I have ideas, and I got to tell you something, man. I know we were competing against each other. I still cannot believe you lost singles entrance of the year.
I from my understanding, I think I came in third because who was it? The guy with the
it was. Oh my gosh! It was
Greg
the
Alba?
Greg
Star Wars
Alba.
boy.
Yeah, I think Greg Alba lost by 11 votes, and then I might have been
Greg
somewhere in
Alba
the third.
Basically peed himself in front of like an entire audience. I mean, he didn't literally, but like you got to give credit for that. You just got to. Although I will say that it is pretty funny that John Rocco won best singles entrance for a team's entrance.
Yes, that is.
I know someone brought that up. Was it on Backstage that it came out? I think it was
Backstage.
A couple weeks after the awards. Yeah. I was like, oh, mind blown.
Oh
right.
yeah, I guess that's right.
We need to
It was
recanvas.
entirely structured like a singles entrance. It makes perfect sense
Yeah.
if you don't think about it too hard, but then you're just like, technically that should have been in teams. Really should have.
It absolutely should have. It was like the when Stacy's partner was revealed. Same diff.
Same diff,
really.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been funny if then Dan would have won it as well, because technically it was team's entrance of the year. And they,
Dan helped sell the drama there. I mean,
that's true. Actually,
he was integral to making that entrance work.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
That's actually very true.
Yeah, and I get why. I mean, because like it's sort of like when I was there, and I was like, oh, I get it. It's a brand name versus this rookie that happened to have all these means available to him. But yeah, so I get it, and we have something great planned for my next match.
We got ideas.
So
I'm very excited about your next match.
Yeah, me too.
And again, you got to remember that the Schmoedown, with not the competition bit, but all the other stuff, it is kind of a popularity contest. You only got to play like 2 matches, I think, last season.
Yeah, it was only 2. And my first match, barely anybody watched it anyway. So
yeah.
Oh, and you're up against.
Well,
it's good. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure that you have to have that people are pissed you were snubbed, so you have to get that consensus building to do to win for sure next year.
Yeah, unless you guys have something great planned, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see.
What would be really ironic is if you help us win this year.
Hey, I'll if I help with several people's entrances and one of them ends up winning, I'll be happy.
We all win.
It's just appreciation for my work is always fun. So I'm going to shift gears and talk about the New York event now. Just seeing your guys' reaction to that, and going into this, because watching backstage, Brendan, you said that you each picked a strength of your teammates, so you wouldn't have to waste that what is it, the 007 rule?
The Mike Kalinowski rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're in a unique position to sort of take advantage of that rule, and there's a slight loophole, and we were just like, well, why not? Worst case scenario, they tell us we can't do that, so we figured we'd try, and we did. And
that's legit.
Seems like it.
Yeah, it's legit. There's no rules against it, so why not?
Yeah, and I also feel like one of the things about the strategy is that the only reason I was in the match is that Bibbs used his number 1 contender shot, right? So it is still Bibbs using his own, what he's gained to his advantage, right? So it's not, it was really, I thought it was really smart that Bibbs sort of utilized the number 1 contender shot once he'd kind of earned, enough to get there on his own in singles, to kind of use that so that he could take advantage of these different types of rules and we could do it together. I thought it was great. So it was all,
it's interesting how watching the reactions to that match and how people were just like, why is Bibbs only focused on Dan? And it's because originally this match was going to be between me and Dan. And one of the reasons I was really excited to bring Brendan in was because, Dan is arguably the most formidable opponent in singles right now. And In fact, I think that's just safe to say. And I'd already faced him once. Didn't go my way. I was doing fine. I got screwed over in the betting round. It was what it was. But I was like, I have an opportunity here to throw in as many X factors into a Dan match as I can. So in addition to bringing in the kid, and a part of me was like, if I lose but the kid wins, at least it's a win for the faction. So that's good. But, in a 3-way match, you get more opportunities for steals, and it didn't quite work out that way because each person playing only missed one question, and I'm the only person who gave up a steal. So annoying. So it was all basically just part of a concerted plan to take advantage of the situation as best we could, while also being within the spirit of the game, within the rules, playing as fairly as we can within a team's match. So I wanted to win. I know Brendan wanted to win, but I also know that if I lost, I preferred Brendan to win.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, obviously the same. Even though I love Dan too, obviously.
No, and listen, he went fair and square. There's no animosity towards Dan. Dan and we're all cool. I actually ended up going out to eat with Dan afterwards, and everything's fine. But
I mean, it's nothing to do with Dan. It would have been the case if we were playing literally anybody else. We would have wanted each other to win.
But it was. I will say that I think it's fair to say that was one of the most intense matches because we were all pushing each other.
Oh yeah,
and also the game as far as it could go.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that briefly. Is how this, and this might bleed into our next conversation. This new era is exactly what it entails. We can see and feel this shift with not only competitors, but fans, faction mates, everybody's playing differently now, and you can see that in the motion of the match. Everybody's getting heated because you're not only playing for yourself now, you're playing for your entire team. You're playing for 9 of the people that are on your roster. So do you see and feel that in this match?
Well, in this match in particular, because here's the deal: if one of our number, me or Brendan, had won that match, it would have been a big win for the team. If we both lost the match, it's not a good start for the faction for the season, so it felt like there was a lot of pressure. The other thing is that, and this is something Brad Gilmore brought up on the Schmoedown Rundown, you've got Ben Bateman over there in Dan's corner, and that's something that's kind of dangerous because if he plays Dan in the singles match, and of course he will, that's just a win-win for their faction. The belts faction either way, they get the points either way. I think you get points just for playing in a title shot, so that's double the point right there.
You get a point for losing the title, I think.
I don't know about that. Did you?
It said it on the website.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just the point for playing it.
But
but regardless, they've got all the advantages in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
We've got all the threat. Even if one of us had won, that's still a loss for our faction. So there was a lot of intensity there. But the thing I keep thinking about is something Brendan was telling me, and I'll let him describe it. But, a lot of people were talking about, was Bibbs acting like a heel, or was he acting like a face with heelers tendencies? And Brendan brought up something really valuable, which is that, if we're going to take the matches seriously, we can't be laser focused on our characters in the middle of play.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you said it's just hard because the more and more you get into these kinds of number one contender matches, title matches, tournament finals, it's very hard to not play. And it doesn't necessarily mean by any means possible to win. I mean, there's certainly a line, and there's certainly things that I wouldn't do to win a match, but using whatever means you can to win, right? And so sometimes in the moment, you can't think. And it's the same thing with wrestling. I mean, I get why it works so well with wrestling, but it's a slightly different thing because, for instance, a guy like John Cena is a really popular wrestler. He's never going to be put in a position where he has to use a low blow to win or something like that, right? That's just not the way wrestling is done. Yeah. So it gets a little more nuanced when it comes to the Schmoedown when you get and it's I watch tennis all the time, and sometimes, you'll watch someone who seems like a really, really nice guy or is a nice guy, like a Federer or something, but he'll still get a little mad at the line judge every now and then, or, it's all part of the strategy, right? It's when you're in those high tense situations.
It's because we're all taking it really, really seriously, and in the heat of the moment, especially when there's a live crowd,
Right.
Things get tense, and we can't edit around how tense they get or anything. So you're just going to see how much we care. And sometimes when you're all in that really intense moment, it doesn't look as friendly as it really is deep down. I mean, we do all love each other.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's interesting with the challenges too. Like, I'm interested to see how that continues to develop this season, because sometimes you challenge something and it seems like everyone goes, oh well, that was a silly challenge. Yet there's so many things that people have challenged in the moment. I thought, why are they challenging that? And then they'll get it right. So you just never know. It's so hard. Everything comes down to very tricky little things. So you never know what's the right thing to challenge or not, because I can tell you, I've been on the sidelines and thought, why are they challenging that? And then all of a sudden they get awarded it,
Yeah. Gotta throw your hat in the ring. You never know when it's going to pay out.
Sometimes you do. Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about again. This is the new era, and we've talked about briefly how everybody's like playing differently. Where do you see this going? Like with teams now, and like you said, everybody's playing differently. Like, where do you see this ultimately ending up and evolving the Schmoedown?
Well, I mean, I think that you're going to see like a higher sense of competition for sure. I think it's going to take probably a couple of months, right, for the leaderboard to kind of take shape, and then we'll see kind of who got out to an early lead, who's kind of trailing, and then I think you're going to see a real heightened intensity of people really feeling like, oh man, like I'm in second, and if we win this, we'll move to first, or oh, we're way behind, we need to go on a win streak. And so I do think it's just going to add a whole nother layer. It's not just going to be, oh, I want to win for my own record, or I want to win for my own team or faction in a sort of it used to be like, oh, I want to win for my faction, but it was more of an emotional thing. Now there's literally a point system. And so, it's going to be fascinating to see. And there's all these little rules, too. Like, it's more points if you TKO someone. So now even making sure you keep a match close is potentially going to be important. So I'm really interested to see how it develops once the leaderboard really takes shape after, a couple of months of matches.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to start seeing, because, again, there's 9 factions right now, and only so many can be in a strong, comfortable lead. So I agree. I think in about 4 to 6 months, we're going to start seeing certain factions start making some desperation moves. It'll be interesting to see how trades or teams get shifted around in order to try to take advantage of and turn the tables in the second half of the year. I also think that the first wave of matches is going to be even more important than ever. We're used to seeing the beginning of a Schmoedown season be a little rookie centric. They have a few title matches, but a lot of it is we're seeing new teams, new players, seeing how they perform. And I think the real danger in previous seasons was if a rookie doesn't perform well in their first 1 or 2 matches, they just might not come back. But here, if they don't perform well, they're part of a faction. They're taking up a that their faction leader might think to themselves, do I need to trade them or get rid of them? Do I need to pair them up with someone new? And we're seeing that in teams. There's only, I think, 6 teams right now that have any record.
Man, yeah, that's true.
All the records are neutralized. It's just zeros and zeros, except for whoever, like Founding Fathers, Corruption, The Family, Shazam, and Odd Couple, and Who's the Boss.
Yeah, all the protected teams.
And
technically, the real rejects.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're the one team that mystically happened.
Technically,
they have a negative record, but by God, they have one. It's a good point, though. But
I didn't even think about it before, but as you were talking it out, I was like, oh, you know what? The real rejects keep their record, so technically they are another team.
I remember, and that's actually really fun. But yeah, there's so many people out there, like I was just mentioning before, Whitney and Alonso Duralde. That's a potential top-tier team. They're 0-0, and they're going up another potential top-tier team.
Oh, absolutely.
Right back.
Tom and Paul.
Yeah.
Tom and Paul. Both of those teams, I'm confident that on a good day could get to a championship match just based off the knowledge I know they all have individually. But we're going to see who pairs up together well. And it's one of those things where the real tragedy is both of those teams, which are potential top tier teams, after their first match, one of them is going to have a negative record.
Yeah.
That's really going to shape things along. So I think don't discount the first part of this season, because a lot of people are in a position where they have to prove themselves individually and as a team to their faction to prove their overall value over the course of the season.
Right. And I think the thing too that I've even noticed in some of the talk between managers and stuff is now your manager is going to help you get matches. Like, it's almost going to be on your manager to call Christian or whoever and say like, hey, you know, this person hasn't played in a couple months. I got to get him in here. I got to, you know, it's funny. That's going to be another layer of I want my person to play this person, or so that's going to be really interesting to see what managers can do, because kind of like you're saying, because if someone loses their first match and they're 0-1 or something as a single or as their teams, I think it will be on the manager to say to Christian, hey, give him another shot. Like, when are they getting another match? But, you know, and it's going to be interesting to see that. A lot of that won't make it onto this show, but it will be happening.
Yeah.
Well, I think it will get onto the show in a way that maybe isn't necessarily obvious. Like, we've had Coy as our manager for one match, and we did a lot of talking with him in the couple of weeks leading up to it and the weeks that followed.
Yeah.
But even in that one match, I felt more prepared for that Dan Murrell match than I had at any other like live event in particular. I felt confident. He's a really excellent manager. He takes care of all the details. He runs drills like ahead of time in categories and like strong. And that's something I've had a couple of managers, but I've never had a hands-on manager before. And I think a lot of people are going to discover, depending on who their manager is, that their game can be significantly improved, or that their managers can be significantly improved. And we'll see who ends up being, you know, putting in the most effort, putting in the most work, and then not just putting together a team, but making sure that that team or faction is operating at the height of their powers. And I think that's huge this season.
Because Koya, I think, has been exactly who we needed, just like as Shazam and stuff. But he's doing a great job of pulling the whole faction together and creating this sort of unity, and that's awesome.
Nice.
That's great. So, well, I can't wait to see what Shazam has in store for entrances and coming up matches, and just both of you. I know like that first loss is kind of stinging, but like, you know, can't wait to see you guys jump in at possibly the singles tournament this season. So a lot of great things happening in the Schmoedown. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here for this episode. So I just
thank you for having us on.
Oh yeah,
thank you
thanks
for being here.
on. I just wanted to let you guys give an opportunity to plug anything you want. So just start with Bibbiani. Where and what can we find online for you?
Okay, well, right now I write a lot of movie reviews for therap.com. I also sometimes write stuff for bloodydisgusting.com. But the majority of my work online can be found at the critically acclaimed network, which is available on Apple Podcasts and a bunch of other podcast feeds. That is a whole sort of clutch of podcast content. We have Critically Acclaimed, where we review new releases. We've got Mail, which is a podcast for our listeners to listen in and ask questions and control the conversation. And that can be really informative and fun. We've got Canceled Too Soon, where we review TV shows that lasted one season or less. We have an upcoming Star Wars podcast we're going to get started the next couple of weeks.
If you need a guest, I know a guy. What's it called?
This one's called Episode 0, and it is all about the movies that influenced Star Wars, not so much Star Wars itself.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, which is something that I've seen like articles about it, but I've never really seen like a deep dive podcast about that. So we're going to use Star Wars as a tool to teach people about cinema history. And after we feel like we've run through the majority of the major films that influence Star Wars, we'll move on to another film and talk about the influences of that. I think it's a really neat idea. I'm looking forward to it. Awesome. And beyond that, also we have the Critically Acclaimed Network on Patreon, patreon.com/critically acclaimed network. Where we have a ton of exclusive content, including original downloadable commentary tracks, podcasts where we review every single episode of Star Trek in production order, podcasts where we review every single film ever nominated for Best Picture in chronological order, and a ton of other cool stuff besides. And, of course, I'm on Twitter at William Bibbiani.
Brendan, what about you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, Brendan KJ Meyer on Twitter and on Instagram. Yeah.
Anything that we should
Plug
be
your movie.
Yeah, anything we should look out for you?
Yes. No. Yes. Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. Of course. No. Well, I actually am currently in a movie called Color Out of Space, which is playing, I think, in most states, at least somewhere. I know it's expanding, but it's out in New York and LA right now, and I know it's out in a lot of other places too. So check your I was going to say check your local listings. Check your local movie. Check your local movie app. But yeah, Color Out of Space is a really fun movie that I got to be a part of that I'm really proud of. So yeah.
Excellent. Nicki Dimalanta, where can they find you online?
I do things on Twitter, and I'm at Dimmy, DIMMMYYY.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Drew Dimalanta, DIMALANTA. You can find this podcast on our YouTube channel. Just go to videosbyandrew.com. Going to be starting a new Star Wars segment this coming week, so make sure you tune into that to see what's going on with that. So if you love Star Wars, come join me on our YouTube channel, videosbyandrew.com. And also check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Andrew and Nicki. That's NICKI. We post exclusive content just for our patrons for that. And so go and help us support our channel and our podcast just by joining our Patreon and become a member of the Squadron. So as we close it out here on Beyond the Schmoedown, thank you so much to our guests, William the Beast Bibbiani and Brendan the Kid Meyer. Thank you so much for joining us. And for everybody else joining us on this podcast, we will see you next time.